Hi y'all. Hi y'all. Hi y'all. Hey, hey, hey. It's Inonge. It is Sunday evening, Sunday night. Yes, Sunday night. Um, well, I decided to spontaneously make a video because there's something that's been on my mind for several months now. And I've written a little bit about it, and I'll think about it, forget about it, think about it, forget about it. But increasingly, I've been thinking about it a lot. So that is a sign, that is a clue that I need to question about it. So yeah, it's me, Iconoclasty Non-Gay, and I call myself that because you can count on me to ask questioning thoughts about the idols and false doctrines that we follow in this day and age. And I'm a little bit distracted because my doggie over here sees me talking and now she wants all my attention and she's pretending she's trying to bite my hand off. Anyway, so the questioning thought I have on my mind is, since when did Americans ever care about being a laughing stock? Like, think about it. Since when did Americans ever care about looking foolish, about looking bad, about people laughing at us? Well, I think in the past several months, maybe since, the year 2019 or end of, no, year 2020. Because before this year, never occurred to me to ever see, an American ever caring about being a laughing stock. Um, no, actually, let me go back. 4 years, 4 years, right? But this year, increasingly, since the COVID lockdowns, all of a sudden, this conversation of Americans looking bad to the outside world is a really, really big deal. And it is the reason for being absolutely mortified and horrified that, as they call him, 45 is, you know, our president. So I've been thinking about this lately. So he was a celebrity for decades, and then he ran The Apprentice, and he wasn't a virulent racist then. And, he got a lot of praise from the Black community for the things that he did as a, an investor, real estate investor, blah, 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 blah. He hung out with, rappers, da, 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 da. And, millions and millions of people tuned in to The Apprentice, la, 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 and on and on. And then he said, you know, I think I'm going to run for president of the United States. And then all of a sudden, oh, no, 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 no. He's a racist. He's a laughing stock. Oh my God. It's such a shame. He's going to embarrass America. He's a buffoon. He's a clown, blah, 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 blah. But really, like, this fear of Trump making the United States look bad or make us look bad is, it's like, how do we pivot so quickly, right? It's something to think about. And then also this conversation of Americans being concerned about looking bad to the rest of the world is a very new notion. I'm like, well, where does it come from? Where does it come from? Where does it come from? And then I think about it and I'm like, well, let's see. We do know that during the Obama Biden administration, the United States invited China into, like, China became, was it a member of the UN? Oh my God, I don't want to make myself look stupid like I don't know what I'm talking about. Or was it the World Economic Forum or whatever? Anyway, China entered these trade agreements with the United States, and these agreements benefited China, and then American manufacturing jobs went over to China, and China became very rich, and da 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 da. And then Trump said, "I'm going to fix that because, you know, these trade agreements and these tariffs and stuff are really hurting the United States, and manufacturing needs to come back to this country, la la la. We know all of that that happened. But in the meantime, during especially, it might have started actually in the Bush administration, but anyway, China became more and more powerful and then took advantage of these trade agreements, and Americans lost their jobs. And stop. Anyway, what am I trying to say? I got distracted. Yeah, so there's this conversation about America being a laughing stock, right? And then we all know that China basically owns most of the world. I mean, it's got a lot of, it owns New Zealand, Australia, um, you know, United States. I mean, basically all over the world. Africa taking over, all of this. And this notion of being afraid of looking like a laughing stock is a very un-American notion. It's a very un-American thought. I mean, we have the ugly American trope, right? Like those American tourists who, you know, dress badly and they talk too loud and they throw their weight around and they're too tall and they're too big and they're too fat and they're too flashy and they have no manners, and you know, that's that stereotype of the ugly American, and you know, it's fodder for a lot of stand-up comedy, and everybody knows about it. But have Americans ever changed their wicked ways? No, because you know, America is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and Americans really don't care about what other people think about us. I mean, in general, you know. And I was like, well, this is a foreign like conversation to Americans. Is it a globalist conversation? Is it a Confucian conversation? You know, the conversation for controlling people's behavior through shaming as a tool and as a technique, you know, shutting people down by shaming them and mocking and teasing and all of that. So that's just one of those things that I've noticed. When I first noticed it no. When I first noticed it really increasing several months ago, I decided to just kind of keep my mouth shut and you know, observe and see where it went. And it's just been increasing every day, every week, every hour, every minute, every moment. And it's like, when do Americans care? That is not the DNA of Americans to care that much about image. It's just not. It's not the DNA or makeup of this country, really, really. And oh yeah, speaking of shaming, here's another thing. So, and I think I've said it before, but I'll bring it up again. Cuban Americans voted overwhelmingly for Trump, and then Black American men voted, and you know, more than even last time for Trump, and Venezuelan Americans as well, and Chinese Americans too. Of course, the media doesn't talk about how many Chinese Americans voted for Trump. Anyway, I'm not. First of all, I want to let people know that it's like I'm not trying to recruit anybody to think in any particular way. I'm just encouraging people to kind of think about the things that are not being said, you know, read between the lines, think about the news that's being suppressed, think about why things are the way that they are and why we accept what we accept, you know. And I think that these days we're accepting many things that are patently just R. It begins with an R and it ends with the ulos sound. But so now Cuban Americans are not Hispanics. No. Cuban Americans are not Hispanics because, you know, Hispanics vote blue every time. I mean, the good ones at least. So Cuban Americans are not Hispanics. They're no longer in the Hispanic category when it comes to, racial categories now. Officially, they are no longer. And Cuban Americans, Venezuelan Americans, Black American men voted for Trump because they do not understand the nuances of the American government. They're incapable of understanding, they're incapable of using higher level thinking skills because you see, these are people who come from very simple backgrounds where intellectualism is not even acknowledged. Like intellectualism doesn't exist, and the people who live in these communities wouldn't know what it was if it slapped them in the face because they're just very uneducated, backwards, very simple people who like bravado and they only respond to, machismo, like this brutish male patriarchal way of being. Um, and they are holding people back because they don't understand progress and progressiveness, and they don't want to live in the modern world, and they don't want to move forward like the rest of us. So that's the reason why those really backwards, buffoonish, clownish, like sort of primitive people, that's why they voted for Trump, because they were just voting on instinct, like Trump is a strong man and he throws his weight around and he's got this voice, and that's what they respect. So, that to me is more shaming language. And, when I hear, like, if I don't really think about it, but when I hear somebody who's in this position of authority talking about another group of people, um, I feel a part of myself being kind of influenced by that. I feel like when I listen to these words and phrases, this feeling of like revulsion just kind of wells up in me, and I want to be as far away from those people as possible. I don't want to even give a hint of seeming to maybe be thinking about agreeing with those people over there because, I mean, it's just shameful, you know. Anyway, that's something that I wanted to share with you. And just to reiterate, since when did Americans ever care about being a laughing stock? You know, it's just not, that's just very un American to care about that. This is the land of freedom, where, people are supposed to be free from those sorts of, mental, emotional, psychic chains. And that's all I want to say for now. And my computer is about to go into a coma. So that's a sign. Thank you, God. Bye.